start recording. Sorry about that. All right, so next question. I think that I set up this problem right, but, or sorry, it's not this one, it's a later one. This one is just straight multiple choice. So gonatotrope cells are located in which tissue? So we'll give you guys a minute here. Set my timer. All right, 10 more seconds here, guys. All righty, let's go ahead and lock those answers in. Okay, cool. Most of you guys got it. So the anterior pituitary gland are where gonatotrope cells are located. So this isn't a poll everywhere question. So somebody just speak up or put it into the chat. What do gonatotrope cells produce? What do gonatotrope cells produce? Okay, so gonatotrope cells do produce follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So gonatotrope cells are going to be located in the anterior pituitary gland, which means that they respond to what hormone binding to its receptor on gonatotrope cells. So what hormone binds to its receptor on gonatotrope cells? There we go. GnRH. Yep. So GnRH is going to be produced from the hypothalamus. It's kind of the reproductive governing hormone. Once it's produced from the hypothalamus, it's going to travel through the adenohypophyseal portal system down to the anterior pituitary gland, and it's going to bind to its receptor on the gonatotrope cells. Once that binding action has occurred, the cell is then going to go through and produce FSH and LH. So gonatotrope cells are producing gonatotrope hormones. So one way to help keep that straight is to just have the mindset that gonatotrope hormones will target the gonads. Gonatotrope hormones will target the gonads. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and move on to our next question here. Give you a minute here as well. So GnRH has which classical or which chemical classification? Thirty more seconds here, guys. All right, let's go ahead and get those submitted. I'll lock in the answers. Show responses. Excellent. GnRH is a neuropeptide. And so keep in mind, a peptide is a really short part of a protein. So a peptide is made up of amino acids. A polypeptide chain means that there are multiple peptides linked together. GnRH is one long peptide, or one peptide in length, and it's only 10 amino acids long. It's really tiny. And the reason that it's really tiny is because it is synthesized and secreted in that hypothalamic tissue. So brain proteins and stuff tend to be pretty small so that they can move through dendrites, etc. So GnRH absolutely is a neuropeptide, which means it has a very short half-life, and that is actually shown in the way that it's transported. So it's transported directly to the anterior pituitary gland via the hypophyseal portal system. So the length of transportation is very, very short. So it's only going from the hypothalamus to the pituitary. Great, great, great. All right, let's go to our next question. All right, progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen are all what type of hormone? We'll give you a minute here as well. Oh, you guys are going to need less than a minute. That's great. Okay, we'll go 10 more seconds. Looks like everybody's in. All right. Great. Everybody's got it. So progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen are steroids. And it's important for us to keep that in mind because steroids act or can act differently than protein hormones. So like glycoproteins, they act way differently than prostaglandins and peptides as well. So fantastic job. All right, next question. Identify the correct sequence of steroid hormone action. So I think what you should be able to do is to organize these and move them up and down. And so we're looking for the correct order. So the top will be step number 1, the bottom one will be step number 4. And so this is going to be steroid hormone action. And if that isn't working, let me know, then I probably set the question up wrong. Still learning poll everywhere.
Dr. Diatley, can I just have clarification? Do you mean steroid transport through the blood or steroid transport through the cytoplasm to the nucleus? Real fast.
So I mean kind of all of that, Cheyenne. So how does a steroid elicit its action?
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you guys another 30 seconds here. Looks like most of you got it figured out. Okay, here we go. Great. Yep, steroid transport is going to be first. Okay, and then movement through the cell membrane and the cytoplasm is going to be second. The steroid binding it to its nuclear receptor is going to be third. And synthesis of messenger RNA and then the protein is going to be fourth. So good, good, good. You guys have got a good handle on that. So my next question is, not on poll everywhere, just in general, I'd like your guys' feedback. Could you draw that from memory if you had to right now? What do you think?
No.
No. Okay. So that is the point that you want to get to. Okay. So we're going to keep talking about steroid action and protein action through the rest of the semester. It's a big part of cyclicity. So one goal that you guys can kind of set for yourselves is to be able to draw through the steps of hormone action and the steps of protein hormone action. All right, so I think I've got one last question for you here, similar to the previous one. So identify the correct sequence of events for protein hormone action. I'll give you guys a minute to do this. And I'm gonna run and shut a door that a dumb dog opened. I'll be right back. All right, about 20 more seconds here, guys. All right, let's go ahead and get those answers submitted. Go ahead and lock them in. Okay, cool. So first step is going to be hormone receptor binding. So that's where the glycoprotein hormone is going to bind to its receptor, typically in the cell wall. And then that binding action will activate adenylene cyclase. And so you'll see that activation then kickstart a series of events which results in protein kinase activation, and that protein kinase will then synthesize the new product. So excellent. Okay, so again, just similar comment as with steroids. You want to make sure that you can draw that whole process out. Cool. Is that, do I have it? I thought that was my last one. Okay, yep, never mind. Ignore this, ignore this. So, all right. How are you guys feeling about chapter 5 and hormones? If you had to put it on a scale of like 1 to 5, 1, not very confident in your knowledge, and 5, I've got this, let's roll, where would you be at? Okay, 3, 3. Okay. Excellent. Well, so here's my suggestion to you is don't just leave chapter 5 material and move into chapter 6. Keep chapter 5 material really fresh in your mind and continue to work on it. Okay, and the reason that I'm going to encourage you to continue to work on it is because these principles, so the way that a hormone is classified, the way that it elicits its response, etc., is only going to get more complex as we move forward. So it's really important that you make sure that you have a really good understanding of what the hormones are. So what is their chemical classification? How does it elicit its action? Because it's going to help you problem solve as we move into cyclicity. All right, any general questions about chapter 5? I want to open it up to you guys. Is there anything that we need to go over in more detail or that you need more clarification about? And I'll give you a minute or so to look back over your notes and come up with questions if you have any. All right, I don't see anything popping up from anybody. So we can definitely address questions at the end of the Zoom session as well. So, all right, next, what I would like to go through is what is coming up this week. So let me share my screen with you. We are officially in week 7 this week. So almost halfway through the semester. And next week, I'm sure this is on your radar, but just in case it's not, is spring break. So we will not be meeting next Monday. We will be meeting the Monday after that, which is the 22nd, I believe, right? Yep, 22nd. All right, so in the week 7 module, you will find information about chapter 6. And so chapter 6, I have to admit, is probably my favorite chapter. And it's all about puberty. And so this is really the first chapter where we bring all of the foundational concepts that we've been studying since the beginning of the semester together. So all the anatomy is going to come together along with the embryology and the way that sex is determined, as well as the endocrinology. And so that pubertal event is really kickstarting that animal's reproductive life. And so you'll see in this module that you've got a note guide for chapter 6. And then you've got 3 different video lectures. So puberty part A, which is just titled Introduction and Defeminization of the Brain, part B, and then part C. And you also have a quiz that is due this Friday by end of day. And so that is what week 7 looks like, is really focusing on chapter 6 material. And so again, I could not put all of the detail possible in all the video lectures. So please make sure that you guys are reading the textbook. There's some really great figures in the chapter 6 textbook that will help you understand this pubertal process, especially in the female. The female pubertal process is pretty complex. It actually is the culminating event of a lot of different things coming together for that female to attain puberty. And so I really like the whole pubertal process because it is so complex. There's a lot of different things that have to come together in order for that initial GnRH release from the hypothalamus, which kickstarts the whole process in the female. And so I think I shared with you guys a little bit of the research that I did around puberty in beef cattle in these video lectures. So it's cool. I like it a lot. So, all right, so that is what is on the docket for this week. So week 7 is all about chapter 6. There's a quiz about puberty that is going to be due on Friday by end of day. Any questions? All right. Well, let's switch gears and talk about the semester project for the remainder of our time. Please feel free to chime in with any questions that you have. It's hard for me to watch the chat when I'm sharing the screen. So those questions probably won't get answered till the end if you put them in the chat. All right, so as far as the semester project, so this has been available to you guys since the beginning of the semester. All the information is located in this module over here on the left-hand side titled Semester Project. And so today I'm just going to go through some of the highlights because you guys are adults and can go in and read the fine print about it in this project assignment. So everything that you need to know for the project assignment, including scenarios, the rubrics, due dates, all of that stuff is here in this assignment. And so in this document, you're going to find several pages worth of information. And so first and foremost, probably something to put on your radar, and it's already linked into the calendar on Blackboard for this class. The due date for this is end of day on Friday, April 30th. I will just put this out there right now. I am not going to be available on Friday, April 30th. Okay, so I just committed to hosting the state finals for the FFA vet science competition, and they take place on that day virtually. So I'm not going to be on email, etc. So if you guys have questions about the group project, you need to make sure that you ask them prior to that April 30th date. All right, so this project can be done either as an individual or as a group. Okay, it doesn't make any difference to me. Okay, so I wanted to offer both scenarios because I know some people function better as part of a group, and I know in this online environment, some people may function better individually. And so you can do this either as an individual or as a group. I'm going to encourage you not to have more than 3 individuals per group. You're going to have a really compelling reason to have over 3 individuals. Okay, and then as far as submission on April 30th, if you do this as part of a group, I need everybody to submit a copy of their project, regardless of whether you did it together or not. And this is something that I learned the hard way last semester. So everybody needs to submit something for this project. All right, so what you are going to prepare for this project is you're going to detail the background of a livestock operation. Okay, and so there's several scenarios that you can work through. And so we're going to focus on reproduction. That is the big part of this project, but also other aspects of the operation. So nutrition, management, etc. All right, so what you are going to do as far as procedures is first and foremost, figure out if you're going to do this individually or as a group. And I am more than willing to offer some Zoom times, to set up some Zoom times for you guys to kind of talk with other members of the class if you want to figure out if you want to do this as part of a group or not. My second suggestion is then to read through the scenarios that are provided for the project, and the scenarios are at the bottom of this document. Okay, after you read through the scenarios, I encourage you to read through this entire assignment. And if you're doing this as part of a group, assign roles to each person. Okay, if you're doing this individually or as a group, I would also encourage you to assign some due dates, okay, so that you aren't being left with this whole project to complete on Friday, April 30th. Okay, so give yourself some deadlines here to get some things done. If you are in a group, here's some roles that you might help you take on the mindset to complete this. So one person could serve as for livestock production. Another person could be the business manager, and a third person could be kind of the tech support person. So computer, Excel, manager, spreadsheets, all of that good stuff. Okay, and so the final report is going to be a PDF document, as fancy or as plain as you would like, and is going to be submitted through Blackboard. All right, so the next part of this first page and all of the second page is the rubric for this project. Okay, so these are the things that your report should have. All right, so first and foremost, you need to give the background information of your operation. So what type of operation is it? The goals of the operation. Broad goals are going to be embedded in the scenarios. You can detail those out as much as you would like. You're also going to give an overview of the operation. So the current herd size, as well as how many breeding females you have versus males, how many of those females are virgin or have not gone through the puberal process, the type of environment that you are operating in, and then you get into the reproductive goals. So with reproductive goals, you want to make sure that you are spending adequate time here detailing out the specific goals that you want to accomplish, okay? And these need to be justified from an economic standpoint. Okay, so keep in mind that that hobby farming is totally fine, but that's not what we're training you to do here. Okay, so this is going to be a legitimate money-making operation. Okay, so all the decisions that you come up with need to pencil out so that you are making a profit. Keep in mind that you don't want to confuse the goals of an operation with the strategies that are going to be used to reach those goals. Those are two very different things and need to be detailed out individually. So, for example, if your goal is to increase the calf crop weaned from 72% to 85%, then the way that you're going to go about that is going to be the strategic part to achieve that goal. So keep in mind that your goals need to be identified, and then your strategies to reach those goals need to be identified as well. All right. The third part of this project is going to be detailing out the reproductive strategies for genetic improvement. Okay, so you want to make sure that you discuss the different strategies that help you achieve your reproductive goals, include a timeline, especially as it changes over time. So keep in mind that reproductive goals don't happen quickly, right? Especially with animals with long gestation rates. Okay, so you are probably going to need a timeline that is going to be at least 5 years in length, okay, to really see those cumulative goals come together to be profitable. You also need to include a list of economically relevant traits. Okay, so ERTs are going to be the traits that you are going to focus on that are going to make you money. Okay, so for example, in cattle production, one of the things that makes a commercial cow-calf producer money is the weaning weight of that animal. Okay, so that's going to be the weight that they're paid on. So those type of traits are really obvious, but additional traits that are economically relevant may be things that are more specific to the cow herd, like how long does a cow remain in the herd? Does she get pregnant every year? Okay, those fertility traits become really economically relevant because if you have females that fall out of your herd because they don't get pregnant, it actually costs more money to develop a new female to take her place compared to keeping that female in the herd. So those are some things to think about as you identify and include a list of economically relevant traits that you plan to select for and meet your marketing goals. The fourth part of this plan is to create a marketing plan. Okay, so what are you marketing? How are you marketing your product? You need to make sure that you're just justifying why your decision is your best financial option. Okay, so you need to provide some economic justification. So for example, this could be selling 4-H and FFA project pigs versus selling pigs to finishing pigs out and selling them to a slaughterhouse. Okay, those type of decisions. The fifth part here is going to be the reproductive performance and economic summary. So in this section, you want to make sure to list the specific reproductive practices that you're going to use to accomplish your goals. You want to make sure to predict the reproductive performance as well as its effects. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are predicting that increase in pregnancy rate if that's your goal. You want to make sure that you're predicting that parturition rate or the pounds of calf wean per cow exposed. Okay, so those predictions are going to lead directly into whether you make money or lose money. In addition, in this section, you need to provide an annual management or production timeline. Okay, so you could read that as a calendar. Okay, so you need an annual calendar. And then you need to have some sort of budgeting tool. Okay, so spreadsheets of costs and expenses, and even yearly spreadsheets, okay, or yearly budgets of how your income and your expenses are going to change over about a 5-year period. And I didn't want to lock you into years here. You can definitely do this for more years as well. All right, and then in your summary section, you need to make sure that you summarize the effect of your management plan and how that actually affected reproductive performance and profit or loss in your operation. And then you also want to kind of predict what the future looks at. Okay, and you may also want to think about what you would have done differently, or something that you could have done differently as well. References need to be in APA format. That's a section that needs to be at the end of this document, and any appendices that you feel like you want to add. So this could be your spreadsheets, this could be your calendars, etc. All right, so that is what kind of the rubric looks like for this project. Okay, just a disclaimer, this type of situation or this type of assignment has been used in repro about every other year, so there are some other ones floating out there. I've seen them all. Okay, just putting that out there. So this needs to be original from you. Okay, so you cannot use projects from previous courses. All right, so the last 2 pages of this document are the scenarios that you are eligible to utilize. Okay, so the first paragraph here is giving you some basic prices so that you don't have to go out and hunt down a lot of different prices at different suppliers. Okay, so I'm really trying to get you guys to think very critically and think imaginatively, especially if you are headed into production agriculture. And so as you start to utilize, estrus synchronization protocols, if that's what you choose to do, I gave you some baseline drugs or baseline prices for drugs. Okay, so prostaglandin F2 alpha is going to be $3.39 per dose. GnRH is going to be $3.10 per dose. CEDARs, which are controlled internal drug release mechanisms, they're used pretty often in cattle and sheep. They're going to be $11.25 per cow or ewe. PG 600 is going to be $8.25 a dose. Melangyl acetate is going to be $1.50 per head for 14 days. And if you want to utilize any other type of supply, you can look them up at a lot of different outfits. So valleyvet.com is a really good source for pricing different pharmaceuticals and stuff, but you can use other sources as well. You just need to cite it. Any questions up to this point before we dive into the scenarios? All right, I am going to just briefly go through all of these scenarios. You guys have the opportunity to read through them in more detail. I encourage you to jump on office hours and talk through some of these scenarios with me, or we can create a different time to meet up. This is the part that I enjoy the most, is getting you guys to kind of think about these principles within a scenario design. All right, so scenario 1 is a 30 sow operation, family owned in Liberal, Kansas. Project pigs are your primary source of income. You target late May and late August fairs. Okay, so sows are going to be maternally bred, so landrace York crossbreds. And so some things to consider is what your breeding program will look like. Scenario 2 is a goat operation. So an 80 doe family owned operation in Red Bluff. Project kids are your primary source of income. Again, you're going to target late May and late August fairs. Your does are going to be boar purebred. So boar is the breed. Okay. And you target matings to meet those late May and late August fairs. Okay. So again, what would your breeding program look like? Scenario 3 is a registered Angus operation in Central Butte County, so Oroville. Has really good facilities, very well equipped with good trained staff. Your staff is familiar with estrus detection methods, and you have 2 artificial insemination technicians on staff. So the operation is made up of 450 cows with another 100 heifers that are going to be developed as potential replacement heifers. Bull calves are going to be weaned with bull candidates and sent to a bull test. Others are going to be castrated and then sent to a feedlot. Calves are currently weaned at about 8 months of age, and you get paid about $3,000 per head on average for bulls that are calving ease and have superior carcass quality. So currently the cows are cycling about 60 days after parturition. And so again, you need to design a breed program to improve reproduction and improve your bottom line. Scenario 4 is a commercial beef operation in central Nebraska that gets paid premiums for all calves with superior carcasses. Okay, so choice minus or better carcasses. Also, those carcasses need to be yield grade 2 with only a 1/4 inch of back fat. So you run about 400 head of Angus Hereford cross cows and 150 head of heifers. And your calving season is about 150 days in length. Cows on average are a body condition score of 4 at breeding, and feeding sources are really limited during the winter. So you operate in this commercial operation with minimal labor, facilities are limited. So again, think through a breeding program to make the most of your resources. Scenario number 5 is a heifer development facility in Nebraska, where you offer heifer breeding services to local ranchers. They bring you weaned heifers to develop and breed and send home as pregnant females. So this is more of a service enterprise. So design a program to keep costs low for your consumers. Think about what services you can offer, and then what to do with cull or open heifers needs to be addressed in the management program if this is the scenario you choose to use. Scenario number 6 is an equine operation. So you operate a stud farm outside of Lexington, Kentucky. You own AQHA registered stallions with desired bloodlines. They have major success in show ring. Okay, you offer breeding services to mare owners, including estrus synchronization, artificial insemination, embryo transfer, and even sex selection services via the use of sex semen. You have a skilled staff and excellent facilities. Your program offers estrus synchronization, artificial light as a means to manipulate the mare's estrus cycle. Let's see. Yeah, that's the highlights of it. So again, so this could be an operation for you if you're interested in the equine side. Scenario 7 is also equine based. You operate a horse ranch in Navasota, Texas. You have AQHA registered studs with cutting bloodlines. So you run about 50 brood mares and offer their offspring for purchase. You've been reading how manipulation of the mare's estrus cycle can help maintain a yearling foal interval, improved reproduction in open mares, and produce older foals at the association's January 1 birth date. So again, you can design a breeding program to improve profitability if you're interested in that type of scenario. Scenario 8 is dairy-based. So you milk 250 registered Holstein cows in Orland. They have some reproductive difficulties. Average days open is 200, and it takes about 2.5 services to get one conception. So the inter-estrus interval shows a number of missed heats. Heat detection accuracy and intensity is issues in your operation. So you can design a reproductive program to help increase the profitability of that scenario. Scenario 1 is a commercial swine facility with 1,000 sows in Liberal, Kansas. Your primary product is finished slaughter weight pigs that are marketed by the pound to Hormel. Sow productivity is critical. You need to maximize the number of pigs per or the number of piglets per sows exposed. Each sow should have at least 2 litters per year. Currently, they average 7 pigs per litter and are not at their goals of 2.5 litters per sow per year. Okay, so some interesting things to troubleshoot in that scenario. Scenario 10 is another dairy scenario, but running cows in Cottonwood. You've got 500 Jersey bred cows. Your days to first service is about 105, and days open is 185. The percentage of estrus observed is 45%. You average 2.3 services per conception with a 38% success rate. So plenty of things to work on in that scenario as well from a reproductive standpoint. Scenario 11 is sheep-based. So you run 400 black-faced commercial ewes in Stockton, lamb in the spring, wean in June. Currently, you feed lambs to sell to Superior Pack in October and November. And you're wanting to change things up. So you're planning to expand your market options, to hit both the Thanksgiving and Christmas market as well as Easter. So you would need to design a breeding program to accomplish that. Scenario 12 and 13 are not necessarily specific scenario based, but scenario 12 is an opportunity for you to use your family's operation or your own personal operation. You would need to provide a lot of baseline data in order to show what the goals are and how to change those in the future. And scenario 13 is that you may choose one of the farm units as long as you have my permission. So if you want to use one of the farm units, you need to let me know. Okay, and I can put you in touch with the faculty supervisor of the unit or the student farm student lead, sorry. And you'll also need to show baseline data here as well as you develop your goals for the operation. All right, so that is the semester project. So do you guys have any questions? Lots of information thrown at you. Okay, I get that. I would encourage you to read through each one of these scenarios, figure out which one is best for you. And then if you guys are interested in doing this in groups, contact other members in the class to see if they would be interested in helping you out. So, all right, I will stay on for a few more minutes, guys, but if you need to jump off, that is totally understandable. And we will see you in 2 weeks.